Today in the crypto space, we see the market still looking a bit slumpy. Bitcoin down approximately 1.5%, below the $97,000 mark. Ethereum right around 2,700, also dripping down. And the altcoins, guys, the altcoins are deep in the red. We have many dips to be had here. AVAX, SUI, Cardano, Near Protocol, you name it, it is in a buy opportunity. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project, part of the DeFi narrative on Base, and that project is called AERODROME. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. What's going on with this market? Are we going to get a bounce or not? Or are we going to keep on bleeding out here? Market cap is currently at about $3.2 trillion. As you can see, we're kind of slumping here. We're, pushing to the downside even within this small little range here. The trading volume did diminish. It is kind of rolling upwards. You can see that it looks like it might want to round off here, maybe go up a little bit. But generally here, guys, the trend is your friend in the sense that you can see the volume has been coming down significantly in the last little while. And the trend in market cap is also on a downtrend. So look, guys, right now it's about being patient. Right now it's about having your big picture objectives totally intact. Understand why you're here in this space, why you're bullish, and ultimately deploy based on your thesis. If you're here for a bull run, guys, we have a lot of red price action, a lot of good fire sales that could be taken full advantage of at this current moment. Buying on the cheap is the way you do it, okay? Accumulate in the red and sell on the green, and we are definitely in the red in the last little while, okay, guys? So let's kind of scrape through the top 100, then we'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll jump right on to the AERO chart, the AERODROME chart, because I think that it's definitely showing us opportunity. Bitcoin, obviously, you can see is still down 9% for the day, for the last 7 days. Ethereum down 17.4% in the last 7 days. We have XRP down 26. I'm looking at the bigger time frames, guys, because ultimately it can give us an idea of what really is on sale. What really is the opportunity here? And obviously major dips are opportunities, but also signs of strength, big picture is also an opportunity. Solana, in my opinion, at these prices is an opportunity, right? You should be looking for horizontal support levels. You should be looking for pivot point structures. You should be looking for bullish divergences. Solana, for me, is where you should be looking for opportunity. Cardano is also not bad of a scenario. Cardano generally does fairly well, and it's down 26.6. Yes, I know it doesn't do as well as we want to, but still when it rallies pretty good, and it's pretty secure. It's solid of an investment, right? We have Chainlink doing obviously 25% to the downside. I feel like Chainlink is another one that we could be focusing on. AVAX is another one. SUI is another one. Guys, look at these dips, right? Lots of good dips, because ultimately they should be taken advantage of. Like I mentioned before, look for the dips, right? Polkadot, I'm not too interested in Polkadot. Not so interested in Bitcoin Cash, but the ones that I am interested in, like even Ondo's down approximately 15.3%. I know it has its convention right now happening. They have a meeting there happening, which is bullish for Ondo. But I'm really looking at the macro environment as well, and I'm also looking at the big picture here for the crypto space. We're bleeding out, guys. There's a lot of emotion at this current zone, and Ondo could definitely be getting a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And I definitely want to be prepared to buy the dip. Now, if Ondo doesn't dip, all good. I'm fully deployed. But imagine imagine thinking that it cannot dip and then it does, and not being prepared for that opportunity. Guys, if you missed out on my video yesterday on Ondo, guys, I made it very clear that around this price was a good time to buy. But if it does break structure to the downside, Ondo would be in a great opportunity to buy, and I will be spamming buy orders all day long on an Ondo dip. Okay, so keep that in mind. Near Protocol, in my opinion, is another opportunity. 31% to the downside in the last 7 days, guys. Near Protocol, in my opinion, right here is undervalued. If you keep on going down, we have a few undervalued opportunities as well with Aptos, BitTensor, guys, almost 30% dip. These are opportunities. VeChain on OG, a Dino project, a Boomer project. Obviously, guys, you know, we think of Boomer projects of such as projects that will not recover, but we've seen some good strength out of VeChain, and we saw some good strength out of good Boomer projects in the last little while. Speaking of Boomer projects, look at Algorand, down 31.4%. Do you remember the day that it pumped and everybody regretted thinking twice about Algorand? Well, guess what? Right now, Algorand is in an opportunity. Same with Render, 30%. Do you remember when Render was untouchable? All of a sudden, Render's on a 30% correction just in the last 7 days. Never mind the big picture. Zoom out, look at where it has retraced, guys. A lot of these projects are in great opportunity. Caspa, 36%, Filecoin, 35%, an OG in the decentralized storage space. Speaking of decentralized storage space, I think Arweave is another opportunity, slightly lower cap, obviously, but it's within that same narrative, and they got a good catalyst coming up. The AERO platform is going to be coming out very soon, and I feel like that could be an opportunity. Guys, lots of opportunity. Radium, 32% to the downside. That's another one. If you're into DeFi, and you're DeFi on Solana, and you want to be well-rounded within the Solana ecosystem, a bit of Radium should be on your watch list, definitely on your buy list, right? So there's a good opportunities here, guys. Take a look at them. Slowly DCA. I have a bit of a rule sometimes when I start to see red. I just buy every single 20% dip. 20% at a time. When it dips 20%, I buy. It dips another 20%, I buy some more. And 20% are good because ultimately, if you get a 20% dips consecutively, guys, that's a deep retracement. That's a good enough retracement. And if you look at your average buy cost, if you keep on doing that, you should be prepared for a nice recovery and obviously get some of those gains to the upside. All right, guys. So that's that. The market right now still a little bit red. It's obviously hasn't made a lower low just yet. Could it happen? Definitely, guys. Prepare accordingly. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin. This is the AERODROME chart, so let's jump right into the Bitcoin chart real quick, see what's going on here. Bitcoin, generally speaking, so that we can get an idea what's happening with the heavyweight out here. If it keeps on bleeding out, we're going to see a lot of the altcoins fall as well. And Bitcoin right now is not showing that much strength. But on the daily, it's still good, but on the lower time frames, maybe not so much. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, as I'm mentioning, daily time frame, we're still in structure, guys. Nothing to worry about. Bull flag, we're respecting bottoms. We're also respecting tops. And this is why we're going sideways. Lots of volume right into here, you know, accumulating over time. Point of controls right into here. And there's nothing really to be said other than maybe we're waiting for the 200 daily to catch up. Okay, see the orange line? Maybe we're waiting to catch up to the price action, maybe bounce off of it, maybe fall slightly below it, and then continue and respect that trend, right? 200 dailies are great signals or great indication of trend. If it falls below and back tests and gets rejected off of it, maybe yes, maybe we start falling. But in the meantime, everything looks good here on the daily. Momentum looks like it wants to fall right now, guys. If we break below these lows, below the 42% mark, it's not good look. It's not something that I want to see. And then we start coming down and get into oversold conditions. That's when we see the bigger drop. That's where we see Bitcoin drop, start looking for horizontal support zones. And of course, 77K is possible, even as low as about 70K right into here. If it wants to hunt a bit of this liquidity into this zone, it's definitely possible to chip away at this until find some support. So that's the bearish case scenario. The bullish case scenario that we hold up to 92, we end up bouncing off of this and get a nice bull flag and continuation to the upside, which would be super bullish. I can't be that bullish given the fact that the trend oscillator is facing down, red histogram bars, blue expansion to to the downside. The trend is showing downwards, and until it gets a pivot, until we start to see some signs of a pivot, guys, we have to be very defensive here. And ultimately, the bulls are not in control. The bears are showing a lot of strength here still, even within the range. Okay, so keep that in mind. The 4 hours is going to give you a bit more of structure on the lower time frames, and I want to see some support here, guys. We swept the lows like I mentioned today. I did put this chart out on the Discord. If you're looking to get into a great community, the Discord is great, guys. It's free. Great members on there willing to help and try to navigate this market. We do see a sweep of the lows. This is what typically happens. Stop losses get triggered, and then we get a bounce. Now the question is that enough? Is that enough to get going to the upside here? Maybe not. Maybe we keep on dripping. Maybe we keep on falling, getting people wrecked. And this is the way the markets induce so much pain here, is because every time we think it's done, we put another long and we put a stop loss underneath, and then it comes down to hunt that. And it keeps on doing that over and over and over. So my wish is to find a real good structure to take some risk in, because right now we see that the trend oscillator is indecisive. EMA is now facing down again, red histogram bar. I'm not interested, right? So both the daily, the 4 hour, looking very indecisive here. I want to see a change of character. I want to see a pivot point structure. We got our first higher low maybe. Is it confirmed? No. So we want a higher low, and then we want to see a higher high. Right now, all we're getting is lower lows and lower highs. This could be the higher high that we're looking for. Like I mentioned before, at the early this week, that I'm looking for a V recovery and a rounded bottom. Adam and Eve structure. Let's break this neckline. Let's start pumping. If we don't get that, forget about it, guys. Bitcoin is going to be coming down to 92K. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be looking at in the next little while. Let's jump right into the AERODROME chart, because I think that it's going to be an interesting project to look out for, given the fact that AERODROME technically is probably the only way, one of the most only legit way that you could get some exposure to the base ecosystem. So if you look at its chart, let's quickly take a look here. You can see that ultimately it fell through the volume gap very nicely as expected. It's not a good thing. I'm not happy about dips, but at least we were able to plan for these dips accordingly and expect that to happen. And that way you can align your portfolio accordingly and your emotions accordingly. As you can see, volume gaps, are weak spots in the chart where there's not a lot of volume. Now we might see a bit of volume here built up in here as we see the price action falling, and we see that it did pick up a little bit of volume right into here. So it could have filled up the volume gap a little bit, but it tagged the bottom of the volume gap pretty accurately right at the top of this order block right here with all this supply and demand, which for me is interesting. Why? Because this could be the support zone. This could finally have hit, which is at about 70 cents, could have hit the support zone. I'm going to quickly get into oscillators in a second, but let's talk about market structure first. Market structure suggests that as long as we stay above this thick yellow line, we're still okay. In fact, we could even be prepared for a bit of, volatility that would cause a shakeout. Coming down here, shake some long positions that have stop losses here, and they get back in, back test, and spring. Great opportunity, obviously, to get back into this level as that happens if we break below this thick yellow line. Now, what I do clearly see is that if we buy into this level, our invalidation, which is the thick yellow line, is a bit far away, guys. So let's talk about how far it is. You're talking about a 44% dip before you get to invalidation. Now, if you come down, you're already up down 64%. Even with a 2x long where we are right now, you will get liquidated if this happens. Okay, and even if it doesn't happen, all it takes is 51%, 50% to get liquidated out of 2x, and it's not fun. It's too close. It's too close. The risk to reward ratio from that perspective is not good. So there's two options here. Either you wait for it to fall closer to invalidation, which is the thick yellow line, or you wait for the price action to print another invalidation structure that you could play, and that may happen right into here, based on the support of the previous price action, that the bears are not going to have strength to chip away at this much more, right? It could come down a little bit more. It could chip away a little bit at this volume, at this order block a little bit, get some people wrecked. Maybe it comes down a little bit. Okay, fine. But ultimately, if we get some signs of a reversal right into here, this could be the structure where now you're going to put the stop loss underneath here, obviously giving yourself a bit of wiggle room, not all the way down here. okay? Because all the way down here, just a reminder, is a huge dip. Right into here, if you can slowly DCA as we get that pivot point structure right into here, it's not bad. You can basically wait for the price action to give you a better setup. And that's where you wait for the trade to come to you rather than, you know, try to front run it. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Again, market structure. We are still doing or producing lower lows and lower highs. Nothing has changed here. You know, assuming that that's the case, the trend is your friend, we should be coming down lower. Okay, guys, so understand that. Until we get evidence that the trend is no longer our friend, we have to understand that we could keep on falling here. So what I would be looking for is a confirmation that, or some sort of indication that we're starting to pivot bullish, which would be a higher high and a higher low. Either or. Either we come up for a higher high or a higher low and continue to the upside, or we go up and come back down for a higher low and then go for the higher high, which is also very typical because that's how we create nice pivot point structures. Because then obviously after that, we start trending to the upside, and then you start saying, well, this was a perfect indication that we are no longer making lower lows. In fact, we're making higher highs and higher lows. And that's what we have to watch out for and wait for. And at any moment we could get that. And at every moment that we get the indications, especially a break above the 200 daily, that would be super bullish. Even a back test on that would be great. A confirmation low, a higher low, that would be a good place to DCA. The break of the previous high would be a good place to DCA. And then you start building a position all into this noisy area. And then what about if it expands, right? Then you can start looking at this level as a de-risking opportunity, as it was a very healthy rejection point in the past. And you start talking to yourself, you start looking at this chart and you're like, okay, dang, this is a pretty good scenario where I can take some profit off the table and call myself a profitable trader, right? So let's say average position is right into here and you take it all the way up here. Look at the percentage. You basically can double your money. No leverage needed. You could double your money, take your initial investment off the table, which is a great de-risking strategy, particularly in this market. If it does happen, if this eventually does happen, why not? Take your initial investment off the table, go and hunt other opportunities that are at the bottom of the range, right? And let the rest run. Let the house money run. If this thing decides to run, if base decides to run, you know, the ecosystem itself, because just keep in mind, there's no base token, right? So all we really rely on is DeFi and all the projects that are built on it. And AERODROME should be the one to get all that action anyway, because it's the only DeFi, on-chain DeFi for a base. So at the current moment, that is offering the most value, right, as a trader, right? So this is pretty good. Now, if we start looking at the overall retracement, let's back this up a little bit. This is the market structure. I didn't even get into oscillators yet, guys. If we start looking at this overall scenario, the retracement itself, let's do swing low to swing high. And you see the retracements down to the 786. It pinged the 886. Guys, these are deep retracements. These are deep retracements. These are really good retracements. You're not buying tops. You're not exit liquidity. You're at good levels. Could we come down to a 1-to-1? Perhaps. We could probably come down and triple bottom and down to here. Could we even make a lower low? I already explained that. That's the bearish thesis, and then we need to get defensive. So the reality is the options are here. Wait for the structure here, or else wait to see what happens in this level, because at this level, it's the last line in the sand. The risk-to-reward ratio is at its best at this zone, and then we can play it by ear or play it by chart when the price comes to this zone. All right, guys, so that's that. Let's take a look at the oscillators here for a second. You can see that the momentum is looking pretty good as it is rounding off, as it reaches the overbought and oversold condition. It is rounding off. The risk you take getting into a fresh long at the current moment is that eventually it gets rejected and it comes down to get oversold as it has done in the past. That's the risk you take. The best time to get in long is when we do actually get oversold. The expansion came in hot. The next expansion response actually was weaker than the previous. And as the price action is making lower lows, to see this happen, it entails a bullish divergence, which is great, right? However, you can see volume and trend is still to the downside. We see the oscillator here, the trend oscillator, a little bit indecisive. However, we're getting a triple drive of bullish divergence here in the bearish control zone. So the bears are still in control. However, we're getting divergence suggesting that maybe maybe we can get these EMAs out of the bearish control zone and into the bullish control zone, which is the top half of this oscillator, where we can get some nice purple expansions. So what I'm seeing here with AERODROME is that it's at a good place to take risk because of the risk to reward ratio being at the perfect opportunity. Now, if we go on to the 4-hour and we start looking at what's happened here, if you want to, snipe a better entry, this is where you can start to say, you know what, let's put a trend line in and at least wait for a break of trend. Guys, I don't trade trend oscillators. In my opinion, they're the worst indication to trade, but they're a good indication of direction. And clearly, as can be seen, we're still in a downtrend here. Oscillator, let's kind of make it a little bit bigger by making this one smaller for a second and just scooching this up and see if we can actually make some sense out of some of this price action. You can see that we didn't get overbought for a good while, guys. So it's like about time that the bulls respond. We need a bullish response very soon. The bears have been in full control. If you kind of look at what's been happening here since this top, you can see that, we're kind of like doing one of these right now, right? And it's time that we kind of like push to the upside where we get overbought. We already did get oversold. It's time to get overbought right now. So it could take its time. I do see lower lows on the price action. You can see that, and slightly higher lows on the momentum. As you can see, we're rounding upwards, and this is on the 4-hour. So we are getting a bit of bullish divergence on the 4-hour, but nothing on the daily. To confirm all of this on the 4-hour, again, you need a pivot point structure. You need something to make a higher high and a higher low, or else this thing is still making lower lows and lower highs, and we don't know how low it's going to go until at least break the trend, at least as an indicator, break above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour, and more importantly, wait for the change of character. A higher high or higher low, one or the other would be a good indication that we're ready to pivot to the upside. Guys, you're not exit liquidity right here, but we want to make sure that we're buying in at the right level so that we don't get trapped up, that our capital doesn't get trapped up, and we continue falling. And that is very, very painful. Guys, the market is giving us lots of opportunity. I think AERODROME is one of them. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. See you tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip. Thank you.